Today I'm going to tell you a story so haunting it lingers long after the last word, set deep in the unforgiving American West, where swollen rivers, broken men, and desperate choices collide. It's a place where fate doesn't knock. It drags you under without warning. It all began with a single scream, small, fragile, and easy to ignore, but powerful enough to ruin a man who thought he had nothing left to lose. Before we kick off this adventure, don't forget to hit like on the video and let us know in the comments where you're watching from. Ever drag a woman out of a river while her fingers tear at your sleeves, fear blazing in her eyes, and know right then that saving her might be the worst choice you ever make? The Wind River was swollen that afternoon, mountain melt rolling it thick and furious, hauling half of Wyoming toward nowhere. I was mending a loose rail on the porch when the sound reached me, a thin, desperate scream, sharp enough to slice through the roar of whitewater. I didn't hesitate. Boots flew off. I plunged. The cold slammed into me like a hammer, the kind of cold that steals your breath and dares your heart to quit. She was sinking. Dark hair stuck to her cheeks, skin ghost pale, but her hands, those hands were locked around a leather satchel, as if it carried her last reason to live. The current fought us both. My chest burned, my arms screamed, but I hauled her free, dragged her onto the muddy bank. When she finally met my eyes, I saw it something shattered and hunted, and I knew she hadn't been running from the river at all. She'd been running from something far worse. Maybe I should have let the water take her. Might have spared us both a long trail of blood, but I didn't. And that single choice cost me everything I thought I'd already buried. My cabin sat 10 miles outside Lander, far enough that most folks forgot I was out there. That was by design. Ever since Gettysburg, ever since I held my little brother Noah Lawson, while he bled out in my arms with bullets whining past us, I'd wanted nothing but quiet and distance. Now there was a woman stretched on my floor, wrapped in my only blanket, shaking so hard her teeth knocked together like dice in a tin cup. I reached for my coat and told her she needed a doctor. "No," she said, voice raw, urgent. "They'll find me." I took her in late 20s maybe, pretty despite the wear etched into her face. Bruises ringed her wrists, half hidden beneath soaked sleeves, and that satchel, she never let go of it, not even when she slipped into a daze. "Who's after you?" I asked. She shut her eyes. Everyone. Rain battered the roof. By morning, the bridge into Lander would be underwater. We were stuck, me and a stranger, for days at least. No way out. No one coming in. I poured coffee and asked her name. "Naya," she said after a pause. "Naya Reed." The name meant nothing to me. The fear in her eyes did. I'd seen it before in mirrors in the faces of men who survived battles they shouldn't have. "You're safe here," I told her, and I meant it. I don't ask questions, and I don't hand over people who need help. She studied me, then really looked. A tall man worn by sun and years' eyes, carrying more history than they wanted. She saw it all. On the shelf sat a photograph of a young man in Union blue smiling. Beside it, a letter with edges softened by too many readings. She didn't ask about them. Smart woman. Ghosts know their own kind. Ever spend 5 days trapped with a beautiful woman? Sounds like a blessing. It isn't. Not when she flinches every time you move too fast. Not when she keeps the door in her line of sight, always. Her body remembered pain even when her mind tried to outrun it. The flood hit hard. The bridge gave way before dawn, taking half the road with it. At first light, I checked the river mud brown, choked with debris rising by the hour. We had 5 days. Maybe more. Naya Reed didn't waste a single one. She took to work without being asked. Swept the floors until the boards showed clean grain. Mended my torn shirts with stitches so fine they nearly vanished. Even went out backhands in the dirt, coaxing life from the little garden. She worked like someone who understood that stopping meant danger. I watched her, couldn't help myself. The way she moved, measured, deliberate, like a skittish animal that had learned pain the hard way. On the third night, I told her about Noah Lawson. Don't know what pushed me to it. Maybe the quiet had grown too heavy. Maybe her hurt made mine feel less alone. My brother? I said, staring into the fire. 19 years old, died at Gettysburg right beside me. I held him while the blood ran out of him. Couldn't save him. Couldn't do a damn thing but watch. Her voice drifted through the dark, low and steady. Some things can't be saved, she said. No matter how hard you try, the way she spoke like she knew, like she'd lived it, made me turn and really see her. What happened to you, Naya? She went quiet. The fire popped. Outside, the river thundered. Then she spoke. My husband. He was a gambler, a drunk. When the cards turned against him, he came home mean. She brushed her fingers along her ribs. A reflex. Memory carved into flesh. I got pregnant, she said. Thought a baby might change him, make him better. Her voice fractured. He kicked me down the stairs when I was 6 months along. Said I'd gotten fat. Said the child probably wasn't even his. My grip tightened around the coffee cup until my knuckles went pale. I lost everything that night, she said. The baby. Every scrap of hope I had left. She slipped a locket from beneath her shirt. Her hands trembled as she opened it. Inside lay a small lock of hair, soft as breath, brown as river mud. This is all I have of him. My throat burned. I wanted to speak to offer something, but words felt like an insult to that kind of grief. So I reached out. Slow. Gave her time to pull away. When she didn't, I set my hand on her shoulder. Nothing more, just enough to say, I see you. You're not alone, I said. Tears welled in her eyes. Thank you, she whispered. That night I heard her crying behind the thin curtain that split the cabin. Quiet, choked back, the sound of someone practiced at hiding pain. I lay staring at the ceiling, hands clenched, thinking about men who break women, thinking about what I'd like to do to them. The river kept climbing outside. And inside me something was rising too, something I'd sworn was buried at Gettysburg along with Noah. Along with any reason to care. The fourth night changed everything. The fire burned low. I was wiping down my Colt, running the rag along the steel the way I always did. The routine steadied me. Familiar, quiet. That's when Naya Reed appeared in the doorway, her shape cut out by the dark behind her. When she turned toward me, I saw it in her face. Resolve tangled up with despair. Will you stay if I take my clothes off? The words hung between us like gun smoke. My hands froze. What her voice trembled brittle as glass. That's what men want, isn't it? I don't have money to pay you. I don't have anything else, she said, forcing the words out. But I can do that. I set the gun down, rose slowly to my feet. I stepped toward her, then stopped 3 feet short. I could see the shame burning in her eyes, and I stayed back so she'd know I wasn't going to touch her. You don't owe me a damn thing, Naya, not one thing. But you saved me, and you think that means I own you. My voice came out, rough-edged with anger. You think I'm that kind of man? Something in her broke. I don't know, she whispered. I don't know anything anymore. Every man I've ever known wanted something. My husband, the men in Lander, Griffin Voss. She choked on his name. They took and took and took, until there was nothing left. I'm not them. Then what do you want from me? Nothing. The word came out hard, sharp. I want nothing from you. You can stay here as long as you need. Leave when you're ready. But you don't owe me your body or your gratitude or a goddamn thing. I turned away, gave her space. I'm not him, I said. I'm not any of them. Silence followed, heavy enough to crack something in my chest. Then she started crying. Not quiet tears, raw, broken sobs that came from someplace so deep you didn't know it was there. I stood there, fists clenched, every instinct screaming at me to cross the room. But I didn't. I waited. Let her fall apart, somewhere safe. Somewhere no one would punish her for it. When she finally spoke, her voice was small, childlike. I haven't felt safe in 5 years. I closed my eyes. You're safe now. That night, Naya Reed slept without nightmares, for the first time she could remember. I didn't sleep at all. I stayed awake, watching the door, ready to kill anyone who tried to take that safety from her. Does that make me a good man, maybe? Or maybe I'd finally found something worth guarding. Morning came with the thunder of hooves. Caleb Turner, a ranch hand from my employer's spread, rode up hard horse slick with sweat and mud flying. There's a man in Lander he called still mounted. Griffin Voss. He's looking for a woman. He swallowed. Says Naya Reed stole family money. Naya went white as snow. Caleb shifted, wouldn't meet her eyes. Marshal Elias Crow is rounding up men, he went on. They're saying she's a thief, and he trailed off. They're coming. After Caleb rode out, Naya sat down hard and told me everything. My husband and I, she said, we were never legally married. Common law out here in the territory. When Harlan Reed died, drank himself into the ground 2 months back, his brother Griffin Voss took it all. The house, the land, the money. Said she had no rights. Naya opened the leather satchel with shaking hands. Inside lay a small stack of bills, carefully counted. Maybe $40. I sewed shirts for miners, she said. Mended coats, fixed seams. I saved every penny for 2 years. Hid it where he wouldn't find it. This is mine, she whispered. I earned it. Her voice cracked. But Griffin says it belongs to the family. Says I'm a whore and a thief. And in Lander his word weighs more than mine. Something in me went cold. Hard. Dangerous. Then we're going to talk to Marshal Elias Crow. He won't listen. Then we'll make him. I was wrong. Dead wrong. Crow was a heavy man with a flushed face and a badge that jingled softer than the coins in his pocket. He took one look at Naya Reed and curled his lip. Reed, he said. The gambler's woman. He said it like she was filth stuck to his boot. Griffin Voss is a respected man, Crow went on. You're nobody. A woman without a husband. No standing. His eyes slid to me. And now you're running around with a Yankee, he snorted. I know who's telling the truth here. You're not even going to hear her side, I asked. My voice dropped to something sharp. Don't need to. Law's plain. His hand drifted toward his gun. Women like her don't own property. Now you two can leave peaceful, he said. Or I can make this unpleasant. Outside men were gathering. 3 of them. One was Griffin Voss, lean, bitter-eyed. He watched Naya like she was a debt long overdue. And that's when I understood. There was no law here. Just power. Just men deciding who counted and who didn't. We run, I told her. 15 miles east of Lander sat an abandoned stable, half-collapsed, forgotten by everyone but coyotes and drifters. I got us there by midnight. Inside it stank of old hay and rot. But it was shelter. I built a small fire in the stone hearth and checked my ammunition. 6 rounds in the Colt, 12 in the Winchester. Enough. Maybe. Naya sat against the wall, arms wrapped tight around herself. I'm sorry, she said. I've ruined your life. I stared into the fire. My life was already a mess, I said. Long before you showed up. That's not on you. You didn't do this. She looked up. Then what did? The fire crackled. I swallowed. My fiancée, I said. Lydia Moore. She couldn't wait for me to come home from the war. Married my best friend 6 months after I shipped out. Her letter reached me the day before Gettysburg. My voice went raw, telling it. Noah Lawson tried to lift my spirits, said there'd be other women, better ones. He was dead the next morning. The last thing he said to me was, "Take care of yourself. Promise me." "And you didn't," Naya said quietly. "You've been punishing yourself ever since." "Maybe." She stepped closer. Slow, careful, giving me time to pull back. When I didn't, she lifted her hand, touched my face. Just that so gentle it nearly split me open. "You're a good man," she said. "The best I've ever known." I caught her hand and pressed it to my cheek. "Naya, can I kiss you?" The question hung there. Fragile, braver than either of us felt. I answered by cradling her face in my hands, rough palms against warm skin, and kissing her like she was the answer to a prayer I'd forgotten how to speak. Slow, soft, a kiss that had nothing to do with hunger and everything to do with two broken souls finding something whole. When we parted, I rested my forehead against hers. My voice came out hoarse. "Can I touch you?" She nodded, eyes bright. I unbuttoned her shirt with shaking fingers. Careful, reverent, like opening something sacred. And when I saw the scars across her shoulders, her back, her ribs, a map of every cruelty, I did the last thing she expected. I kissed them, one by one, slowly. My lips traced old pain as if tenderness might undo it. "These don't define you," I whispered against her skin. "They only prove you survived. You're the strongest person I've ever known." Her breath caught. "Will you stay forever?" We came together in the firelight, unhurried, gentle. I treated her like she was made of something rare. Her hands slid into my hair over my shoulders, learning what touch could mean when it carried no threat. The way she gasped when I kissed her neck, the quiet sounds she made, the way her body rose to mine, not in fear, but in want. For the first time in her life, Naya Reed felt cherished instead of used, whole instead of broken. And for the first time since Gettysburg, I felt something other than empty. Outside in the dark, horses snorted low. Someone was there. Griffin Voss stepped into the stable, two Voss gun hands flanking him. Lean men with dead eyes, the kind who'd killed before and would again for pay. I was already on my feet, gun drawn, placed between them and Naya. Griffin smiled, thin, cruel. "The Yankee plays hero," he said. "How touching." Then he looked at her. "She didn't steal from you. That money was my brother's," Griffin Voss said. "Belongs to the family. She's nothing. A whore who played house with a drunk." His eyes slashed toward Naya Reed, pure hate burning in them. "My brother drank himself to death because of you," he went on. "Died saying your name, calling you a witch, a curse. I'll be damned if I let you profit from it." "Your brother beat her," I said. "He killed her child. And you want to talk about justice, I want what's mine. Then you'll have to come through me to get it." Griffin gave a small nod. The two Voss gun hands fanned out boots crunching in the straw. My mind ran the numbers. 2 men, paid killers. Me, a soldier who hadn't fired in anger since Gettysburg. Naya stood behind me, unarmed and shaking. Bad odds. But I'd faced worse at Little Round Top. Last chance, Griffin said. "Walk away. Leave her. You're not dying for something used up." I fired. The man on the left took it clean in the shoulder. The impact spun him hard. His pistol flew skidding across the dirt. The other one moved fast. Too fast. He rushed me with a knife, the blade catching the firelight. I barely got my arm up. Steel bit flesh. A hot line of pain tore across my forearm. We slammed together. He was strong. Drove me back into the wall. The knife rose. A gunshot cracked the air. The man froze, eyes blown wide. Blood spread across his thigh. He collapsed, screaming. Naya stood there, my Colt clenched in both hands. She shook so hard the barrel wavered, but her eyes steady. Unbroken. Griffin reached for his gun. "Move," Naya said, "and I'll shoot you too." The words were calm. The muzzle steadied. Griffin hesitated. "Drop it." A new voice cut through the smoke, hard, commanding. Judge Alden Pike stepped into the stable, Deputy Rourke at his side. Near 60. Gray hair. The posture of a cavalryman because he'd been one. His eyes took it all in. The wounded men. Naya with the gun. Me bleeding. His jaw set. "Griffin Voss," he said, "you are under arrest for assault, attempted murder, and false accusation." The words rang like iron. "Deputy," he said, "secure him." My legs finally gave. I slid down the wall, blood soaking my shirt. Naya dropped the gun and ran to me. 3 days in a boarding house in Lander. 3 days of fever, of slipping in and out of nightmares where Noah Lawson died over and over again, where Lydia Moore's letter burned in my hands, where the knife fell and this time it didn't miss. Naya Reed never left my side. She washed my wound with whiskey, her hands steady as rock, changed the bandages when they bled through, tipped water to my lips when I was too weak to lift a cup. And when the nightmares came, when I thrashed and shouted Noah's name, she caught my hand, held it tight, and whispered, "You're safe. I'm right here. You're not alone." On the 4th day, Eliza Whitlock went into labor. The town doctor, Dr. Halverson, was drunk. Nothing new there. Eliza was bleeding badly. The baby was turned wrong. The midwife had died the winter before. No one knew what to do. Naya heard the screams drifting up the street. She looked at me, still pale, but finally sleeping easy, and made a choice. "I'll be back," she whispered. She ran. Eliza Whitlock's bedroom was hell. Blood everywhere. Eliza screaming, raw and desperate. Her husband, Jonah Whitlock, stood frozen eyes wild with fear. "Please," Jonah begged. "Please, someone help her." Naya pushed past him and rolled up her sleeves. "I need hot water, clean cloths, whiskey." Jonah stared at her. "Who are you? I'm a woman who's delivered 3 babies and saved 2 of them," she said. "Now move!" It took 2 hours. 2 hours of sweat, blood, and prayer. And then the baby came slick and red, screaming with furious life. Naya nearly broke down with relief. Eliza sobbed, clutching her son to her chest. Jonah stared at Naya like she'd stepped out of the Bible. "You saved them," he said. "You saved my family." That evening, Jonah went straight to Judge Alden Pike and told him everything. And Jonah Whitlock wasn't just anyone. He was one of Lander's wealthiest merchants, the kind of man whose word carried weight. Judge Pike's investigation lasted 5 days. He questioned Griffin Voss, who couldn't keep his story straight. He questioned the men who'd attacked me. They admitted Griffin paid them to rough up the Yankee. He examined the satchel's contents. $43. Along with receipts for sewing work signed by miners and shopkeepers, dated across 2 full years. He interviewed Jonah Whitlock, the shopkeeper, and 3 other women who'd hired Naya for mending. The evidence spoke for itself. On the 6th day, Judge Alden Pike delivered his ruling in the Lander Courthouse, a drafty building that doubled as a general store. "Griffin Voss," he said, his voice carrying through the room, "you are guilty of false accusation assault and conspiracy to commit murder. 5 years in the territorial prison at Laramie." Griffin Voss lunged forward at the sentence, screaming, "She's a whore! She murdered my brother! Your brother drank himself to death!" Judge Alden Pike said coldly, "That isn't murder. That's weakness." He turned to Naya Reed. "Miss Reed, you are hereby cleared of all accusations. The money in your possession is legally yours." A murmur rippled through the room. Furthermore, Pike continued his voice, carrying, "I am ordering Marshal Elias Crow removed from office for corruption and dereliction of duty." Outside, the townsfolk stood watching. Some with open hostility, some staring at the ground in shame. Only a few, Jonah Whitlock, the shopkeeper. 2 older women beside him. looking at Naya with something close to respect. Change came slow in the Wyoming territory, but it came. I slipped an arm around Naya. I was still weak. She was still shaking. But we were standing. "It's over," I said. She looked up at me, eyes shining with tears. "What happens now?" Now I smiled. A real smile, the first in years. Now I said we go home. Finally, let me send my deep thanks to you. Thank you for listening. If this story has touched your heart, I invite you to stay with us to discover more true tales of the Wild West, stories that honor resilience, tenderness, and the spirit that God placed in those who blazed the trail. Subscribe, share, leave your thoughts in the comments, and join us once again to journey across this untamed land. Thank you. Aviso legal/disclaimer. These stories are crafted purely for entertainment and may contain imaginative additions or dramatic interpretations inspired by old frontier eras. We use AI-based resources, voice imagery, and drafting as part of our creative process, but every final detail is carefully reviewed and shaped by human effort to preserve emotional depth and authenticity. We strictly follow YouTube's rules regarding AI-generated content and refrain from deepfakes, altered identities, or misleading representations. All images, sounds, and related materials are lawfully obtained. Please do not reuse, modify, or distribute any portion of this content without written permission. Thank you for valuing creativity, respect, and original work.